You got the Goat and our co-host Shark in the Dark. Man, we got a very special guest today, man. Dillon Sleeper, man. How you doing today, Dillon?
Good, good. How are y'all doing? I'm blessed.
Man, we doing excellent. Well, we like to start off with where you from and how did you grow up?
Yes, sir. So I'm from Winder, Georgia, born and raised, but currently reside in Athens. But I always tell people and give credit to Florida. From 18 to 24, I really matured and got into adulthood in Florida. So good childhood. Mom and dad were married up until about seventh grade, and then things took a turn. But my childhood was good. We always had a neighborhood house. My mom was like the neighborhood, mom. So tons of people at the house, bunch of sleepovers, football in the front yard, backyard. I played sports, so I really did have a good childhood.
Mm, that's good, man. That's good. Were you the only kid growing up, or did you have siblings? How many siblings did you have growing up, Dylan?
So growing up until my parents divorced, I had two siblings. I have a sister and a brother. My sister is 2 years younger than me. My brother is like 9 years younger than me. Yeah, like 10 years younger than me. And then I have a stepbrother and a stepsister from my dad's new marriage, and they're the siblings I'm the closest to. And one just turned 18, and the other one is the same age as my biological brother. So they're both about. I think they were both born in 2008. So
Okay, that's good, man. That's good. As your childhood progressed, what would you like as a brother if you had to tell our audience?
I think growing up, before my parents got divorced, and even shortly after when I was living in Florida for a little bit, I think I was a good brother. I think I, protected, I took care of, I like to definitely support and engage. I think I was a good brother, honestly. I always included them. Um, I think I could have been a better brother to my step siblings, just due to there being such an age gap. Whenever I did meet them, they were kind of like the little siblings in the way kind of thing. But now that we're older, they're my best friends. We're super super close, and kind of one of those bonds that can't be broke, to be honest. So.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. You said coming up, you play sports. Tell the audience about what sports activity and curricular activity you was into in school, man.
Yeah, so I played football from like 6 years old all the way up to like I would say right before high school. It was like I didn't play eighth grade year, so I played like seventh grade year. All of my friends were getting huge, and I'm a small dude, man. I'm a small guy, so I had to find a sport where I could run away from people. I didn't want to run towards people anymore, so I started playing soccer, and I played soccer, through school and all of that, and really enjoyed it. But definitely football and soccer. Now, as a fan, I'm a huge football fan. I'm a basketball fan as well. So.
Okay, now take us into as you were getting older. What kind of what kind of kid were you? A mama's boy, a daddy's boy, uh, 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 a worker at Kroger. Take us through what didn't life look like at that age.
Yeah, so like getting into the teenage years, I would say growing up before my biological mom and dad had gotten a divorce, I was definitely like a mama's boy. Like my dad worked a lot, so I was definitely like, trying to please her. She was big on school, she was big on, sports, staying to your commitment. So I definitely tried to please her a lot, probably to where it kind of turned a little toxic. But, and then friend wise in school at that time, I had a lot of friends. I played a lot of sports. I was in that like bully crowd, unfortunately, which I hate to admit. And I wasn't a direct bully, but I was kind of the guy, like, in the group laughing and adding it on and pointing fingers and shameful, shameful, shameful. So, but then after they split, my stepmom and my dad got together. A lot of it was kind of just, me and my dad becoming like best friends and me idolizing, wanting to be like him. So I got a job really early. I was working at McDonald's and I delivered pizza. And, um, it was a really good childhood. Definitely a good childhood up until seventh grade.
Okay, now take us to high school, and how that played out for Dylan.
Absolutely. So, high school, it was going pretty good. I do want to add, in seventh grade, uh, while when my parents had started separating or having some issues, my mom simply had just picked me up one day from school, put me in a car, and drove us to Florida, and I was down there for a year until I could come back to my dad. So I come back to my dad's, and I go through the last year of middle school, and then I start high school with him after only being back a year. So things are going good. I'm going back to the high school. That was my hometown school where I was born and raised. And I got good grades. I had a lot of friends at this point. I got my old friends back. So, there was some partying. There was, a lot of hanging out. But ultimately, I started working at 15 at McDonald's, like I said, and then got into delivering pizza. So, um, childhood was good. High school was good, and then senior year, whenever that hit, I got some senioritis. And if there's any students listening, any parents listening, definitely warn your kids, who are going into the senior year or definitely at the middle of their senior year about senioritis. But you get comfortable, and you think that it's all going to work out. You're going to walk that stage. You're going to graduate, so you get comfortable and complacent. And my best subject was always literature, and I got so behind in that my only option was to repeat the first half of my. It would have been my fifth year of high school, and I was like, I'm not doing that. So I dropped out and I got my GED.
Wow. What high school did you attend, and how long did you go before you dropped out and decided to get your GED?
Winterboro High School is where I went. Small town, outside of Athens. And I went all the way up until a month and a half before graduation,
Wow.
and then
Dang.
that I couldn't walk. So I dropped out and I maxed out a credit card and I got my GED within 2 weeks from dropping out.
So when you decided to drop out, what was your mindset at? Did you think you were going to make it? Did you think you were going to get your GED?
So I knew I was going to get my GED. I've never had a problem in school, and that's not to say that arrogantly, but I didn't think it would be that fast. The only reason it happened that fast is because I got approved for a credit card, but I knew I'd get my GED. However, my dad has always made a really good living with only a high school diploma. So from an early age, my dad always instilled, if you want to go to college, go to college. But if you don't, like I didn't go to college, I'm not going to push you to. So seeing the life that my dad built for himself, he's been at his career or at his job for 30 years, made a career out of it. And that was my ultimate plan coming out of high school was I'll just get a GED and start working. And I had this egotistical mindset where it was like, I don't need this anyway because I'm going to make more money than the people teaching me anyway, which ultimately was a hard lesson that I had to learn, the hard way. But
Okay, and you know during that time you got your GED. What did life look like as far as career wise, all the way up to like 25?
25. So I get out of high school career wise. I try to go work at, my dad's place that he works at. It didn't work out. So I get the bright idea with my girlfriend at the time that we're going to take $1,000, pack up all our stuff into a U-Haul and move to Pensacola, Florida. And we get to Pensacola, Florida, and we had no plan at all. And it was pretty much just running and going. And what we were focusing on was and what we sorry about that and what we were focusing on was the just the living, the survival. So I go down to Pensacola with barely any money. I can't find a place to rent. We're living out of motels for a little while, and then I find this addiction stricken neighborhood in Pensacola to rent a mobile home. And I start looking for a job. So I go to work at McDonald's for like 2 weeks, and then I'm scrolling on Craigslist, and I actually find an ad for a removal service at a funeral home. And the position is called a removal technician. But what we were doing is we were picking up families' loved ones from their place of death. So we're picking them up from at this time my first 3 years in the mortuary industry. We were picking up just from hospitals, nursing homes, and like hospice cases at home. A wild case for us would be like someone that had a heart attack with a pre-existing condition. So I get into that for 3 years, and then The next 3 years, I relocate back to Lakeland, Florida, where my biological mom is, right after I get married to my girlfriend from high school. And I go down there, and that's when I start working for the medical examiner office. And I did that for 3 years up until I was about 25. And that changed because then we were dealing with homicides, murders, car accidents, overdoses, etc.
Okay.
Mm. So Dylan, take us through some of the most gruesome things you've seen working as a medical examiner.
So I've seen a lot. So in about the 6,000, I mean, in the 6 years that I was working, I've ran the numbers many, many times. For 3 years, I worked on call 7 days a week, 24/7. I was on call on my wedding, Christmas, everything. Then I worked about 6 days a week, sometimes five, for the next removal service. And I average it, and I picked up about 5,000 to 6,000 calls. So there's a lot. There's a lot. When you say gruesome, I'll just pick like a car accident, for example. I've seen a lot of crazy car accidents. There was a gentleman that was on a Gixxer, like the street bike, and he was going over 120. He was coming down Kathleen, Florida, very small country town. It's known for just having orange groves back in the day, so a lot of just 2-lane roads. And he came straight off of a turn, hit a ditch, flew straight up, and he ended up hitting a steel light pole. So down in Florida, you'll see steel light poles instead of the wooden ones for the power lines that we have here. And if you take a bowl and look inside of a bowl, how it's rolled, if you were to pretty much take that and put it on his face, it would have fit into his face. Um, and that's just one of the car accidents. Car accidents were very common, but I've also worked some pretty notorious calls as well. I've been to a timeshare where a gentleman had overdosed with his girlfriend, and he woke back up. And when he woke back up, he positioned her and remained being intimate with her for over 30 days. And when we picked her up, she was completely decomposed.
Oh my God. Mm.
And there's a lot I've picked up, and a lot of this stuff people can Google. You can Google Pensacola woman, 400 pounds, sits on Nice. I picked up that poor little girl. She got in trouble, and her mom called over her sister, well, the little girl's niece, and said, "I can't get a hold of my daughter. I can't like get her under control. Will you do something?" And this woman that came in was 400 pounds. She may have been 375, but she sat on the niece as her punishment, and she suffocated.
Mm.
So depending on the category, a lot of different stories, a lot of different traumatic events. Um, there's tons.
So as a removal technician, it's safe to say you've seen a lot of death.
I've,
Um, how did you deal with that um, personally? Going through a lot of traumatizing uh, accidents and deaths.
so I had never been to a funeral, never really been around anyone who was deceased before I got into the industry. And the only way I can describe it is I still remember my first removal, and it's almost, this sounds really bad, but it's almost like someone who doesn't do construction work and they have to go do construction work and they just make it work. Like that's not their type of work. They know they got to grind, they know they got to do it, and you're stuck in a serious situation, right? So when I first walked in, and it's a family, it's a residential call, and there's 20 to 30 people just staring at me and beaming at me. Uh, I was warm. I was like numb, but I knew that I just had to get through it out of the respect for the family. It was like that make it or break it moment, and I pushed through it. Moving forward, dealing with all of the trauma, I didn't really deal with it, to be honest with you, not until after I got out of the industry when it made itself relevant. During the industry, I was just working so much. I was in go mode. I was on call all the time. I didn't drink. My addiction wasn't active at the time. It hadn't started yet. So I was just working, and that industry turned into like a passion of mine to where I wanted to do more and more and more. I later get a cremation license, and I fell in love with that work, so it didn't feel like work. And I know that's cliche, but it really didn't. And I didn't really have anything to deal with. I didn't think at that time.
So Basically, what you're saying is it became a passion almost, to where it's now not a job. It's something that you have to do in a sense.
Yeah, it's just a part of me basically. Like it was like my identity, to be honest.
Right. And you said you had not started your addiction yet. What kind of addiction did you fall into?
So I fell into cocaine and Xanax addiction, but pretty much it ended up spiraling into like any benzo and any stimulant.
Mm. So, do you mind telling the audience how many times you used to do cocaine, or when, or what times you used to do it when you
Absolutely.
were?
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah, just would you mind telling the audience the times that you indulged in doing cocaine, and how did it make you feel?
Absolutely. So I still remember the first time I did it. I had a buddy of mine. He had like a project that night, like not like a project, but like a little DIY thing he was doing. And I'm over there and we're smoking and everything. And he's like, "Hey, you want to try this?" And I'm like, "Nah, man." And trying to be cool, to be honest with you, I was like, "Man, I haven't done any of that since high school. I hadn't touched that a day in my life."
Mm,
And he did a little bit, and it to me it seemed like nothing changed. Like it, he looked the same as he did before. So I was like, let me try a little bit of that. So at first, it really just made me feel like, it's a bad way to put it, but good. Like I felt warm. Um, Things that, so I do have OCD from mortuary. So like whenever I did it, it was like, even though your mind's racing, my mind had kind of stopped. It was kind of done. And the way I think that happened was like how people on ADHD take prescription pharmaceuticals, so like Adderall to slow them down. I think it kind of did it to me. So like my worries went away. I kind of felt untouchable, and uh, that kind of just after that night, it just kind of grew and grew and grew.
mm. So, tell us in the audience about how your cocaine addiction led to other drugs.
Yeah. Before trying cocaine, I was smoking. I had drank. Didn't really try anything ever other than like psychedelics, and was never really like heavy into anything other than I was like a daily smoker back then. And moving forward, I start, after that night, it started with like a gram, a week or whatever. And then it ended up getting to the point where I remember like I'm getting like an 8 ball, like 3.5 grams, and I'm giving, somebody a little piece, and then the rest of it's gone in, 2 days and 2, 3 days. So it definitely got out of hand at that point. And it, it really just spiraled out of control and kind of took over my day-to-day priorities, to be honest with you. And it started looking like a fun hobby, and then it turned into, one of my biggest regrets.
So did everything you saw in the removal industry, being a mortician, drive you to addiction?
See, and that's a really good question, and I'm thankful that you'd ask that, because I used to think so. I used to say, the PTSD, the OCD, that's why I did it. That's why I did it. But the fact of the matter is that that was the biggest lesson that I had for me not to do it. I mean, I'm picking up overdoses multiple times a day, and sometimes we're picking up groups of people, and then I get out of that industry and I choose to do it. So it should have done the opposite, but I don't like to give that part of my life specifically the power to say that that's what drove me into addiction, to be honest. Uh,
And that's understandable. Okay. What were one of the things that you said, this is my addiction, but I would have never did this hadn't I not been addicted to whatever you were addicted to?
um, I think my biggest thing, like I always grew up saying like I'm not going to do drugs, not going to do this, and then when the cocaine started, and then the Xanax started. The Xanax started because I was just looking in a drawer for a toothbrush, and my girlfriend at the time had 5 bottles that were prescribed that she didn't take because she didn't like how they made her feel. So then it was just like open season, and I think that really like I think that really drove it, but I don't really think that my addiction was something that I can blame on or something that I can really give power to, other than my family. They were addicts on my mom's side. Um, but like I said, I think it just changed my priorities, and it was a struggle to get through. I mean, it really just got out of hand, and I may have rambled there a little bit. But could you touch on the end of that question again?
I would be happy to. It basically what I'm asking is, did you ever do anything that you weren't proud of on your drug addiction?
Getting my addiction, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, I've typical things that people that addicts go through. I lied a lot. I stole a couple of times. And not being raised that way, and not really uh, not really being shown that path, it really shocked me, and it's still regretful today. So they take over your mind, they take over your actions, and you're still conscious making those decisions, but it's almost like not your character making those decisions. Your moral compass disappears. So I would say for me personally, it was lying, and it was stealing, and just being deceitful and trying to manipulate people for a selfish gain.
Hmm. So, Dylan, when you were going through your addiction and after all the overdoses you've seen, did you ever think that you may OD or have you OD?
I'm glad that you asked that, because that's where I got twisted on that last question. I started trying to go on a tangent on this. So you would think that me dealing with all those overdoses, that it would push me away from it, but it was never in my mind about what I had saw. Like, I was just doing it and enjoying it and using it, selfishly. And I never thought I'd be in that situation. I grew up with uncles and aunts and, a couple other family members that were addicted, and some of them were very, very, very bad off. And I never thought that would be my life. I never thought that I would be going down that road, but I found myself going down that road, and down it very, very fast.
Hmm. Dylan, we got somebody in the comments. Jessica, how you doing, Jessica? We're going to read a comment. She got a question. She said, if you could give another person battling addiction one piece of advice that also helped you, what would it be?
It's a saying that whenever you drive a car, the windshield is bigger than the rearview mirror. So you have to look forward to the future. You can't look in the past. So you're always going to hear that. I still hear it today. You stole that. You lied about that. You said this. You said that. But your story is your story, and your past isn't your story. So what you start doing from today moving forward is what matters, and that's really what helped me. I had a relapse a year after getting clean, and I really had to ground myself again. And I hear it all the time. Well, you haven't been that clean, that long clean, or whatever, because you had a year relapse in. But the past isn't your past. What you do from today moving forward is what matters. And I encourage anyone to go get help. But the first step is figuring out the why. And for me, it was me being insecure with myself, and just needing to numb all of that.
I'm glad you clarified that, man. That's some good advice. Okay, with addiction, man. If you could just tell somebody something right now, because we're going through a fentanyl epidemic right now. Uh, Bodies all over the nation is terrible. Um, what would you give them for this epidemic right now, that we're facing, and losing lives, probably 5 a month, it seems like, and just in Georgia?
Yeah. And the sad thing is, some of those numbers are only what's reported. Like I saw in my experience with the medical examiner's office, like we're picking up a lot more than what was being reported because they're being written down as something else. They maybe wrote down as respiratory failure, but you still OD'd, and that's why you stopped breathing. So those numbers, they can be a lot larger. But the thing that I would say is I would explain overdose, why I hate the term overdose. And I hate it for the person using, and I hate it for society, and I also hate it for the person's family. And the reason is, working in that industry, overdose is such a ugly term that the community uses to attack someone. They say that someone overdosed, and what you picture right off the back is that someone physically chose or accidentally used way too many drugs, and they wouldn't stop, and they kept going, and they were on a bender. And that is not the case over half of the time. Over half of the time, in my experience, and you can look up Central Florida, it was also the start of the epidemic with the pill mills with opiates, and Central Florida is really bad for fentanyl right now. And the reason I don't like overdoses is because it's not someone always on a bender. I can give someone a pain pill that I got from someone else, and I've taken 6 of them and I bought 7. And the 7th one that I gave to someone, because they're pressed or non authentic or whatever you want to call it, it could have too much fentanyl in it. That one pill, my other 6 were fine. That one pill can make someone drop like that. So my big thing is explaining overdose is that that's how quick your life can be taken. So if you're struggling with addiction, please realize that it's not okay to try next year or one day. Like, you need to try today. Like, this needs to be day one, because no matter if you trust the guy that you've known for 10 years who you're getting it from, it all comes down a pipe mill, and it all comes down this pipeline, and you have no idea what that pill is. There could be 1,000 in a bag that are perfectly fine, and there could be one that's wrong. And it doesn't mean that someone took 4 at a time. It can, and most of the time, mean that someone just took something that had too much in it, and it took their life, and that's sad. So realize how dangerous it is what I would say, and realize how short your life is, especially with certain actions.
Perfect, brother. What was one of the lessons that you learned about yourself when you start recovering?
Oh, man, that's a good question. I've never been asked that before. Uh, I think I think the biggest thing that I learned getting clean and going through my recovery is that I'm capable of more than what I give myself credit for. And I think anyone that has gotten sober either resonates with that, or maybe they will after hearing it. But when you go through your addiction, you're torn down. So whoever you were before, it doesn't matter anymore. Whether you're a banker, a football player, whatever, now you're an addict. And you have to build yourself back up, and you have no confidence whatsoever. So I think one thing that I found through my recovery is developing new skills, but also finding a way to be confident in myself without being egotistical or narcissistic, because a lot of that comes with that addiction. So I would definitely say just my potential really shocked me. But the other thing that shocked me was that it doesn't discriminate. So when I'm in recovery, there's everybody in that room. Addiction will grab anybody at any point in their life, no matter who you are. And I think that was really eye opening for me.
Mm. Man, we so glad that you made it out of recovery. And touching on recovery, how long were you in rehab, and how long did it take you to kick all your bad habits and drug addictions?
Absolutely. So my story from the first time I tried cocaine, for about a year and a half, I was just every single day a bunch of Klonopin, a bunch of Xanax, and a bunch of cocaine. And then me and that girlfriend at the time, we had broken up. I pretty much lost everything. Moved back in with my dad, and through that time, I was uh, just kind of stuck on trying to get clean, I would say. So, but I was still needing something. And that's why I hesitate to say that, because I wanted to get clean, but I still needed something. So when I first moved in with him, right after that breakup, I had taken a bunch of Klonopin from her home, and I took a bunch of Klonopin one night and was just okay with not waking up. That was kind of the thing. I was on my dad's couch. I remember I was watching a movie, took a bunch of Klonopin, and that was kind of the start of that. I wake up in the middle of the night, don't really remember anything, but my brother, my stepbrother, he ends up packing me a bag, and he's like telling me that he's going to drive me to the hospital. He could tell something was wrong, but he probably knew the less or the least out of everybody. So he I tell him no, and somehow I get in the car and I drive myself to the hospital. And that's what really started. I told them that I needed help, and they gave me a couple of pills, and I knocked out. And I woke up in a like mental health facility, like an inpatient facility, and I was in hospital gown. So this is a year. So I was an addict for a year and a half, and now I'm in this facility trying to get clean. And I tell people it's kind of like the movie Good Burger. Have you guys ever seen it?
Oh yes.
So
Yes.
you know when Ed wakes up in the hospital and they're all dancing.
Yes.
So I wake up to that and I'm like, I need help, but I don't need this. I was like, I need help, but I don't need this. So I'm only there for a day and a half. I'm raising hell the whole time, and they finally discharged me or whatever. But they, for some reason, they had an insurance caseworker that came and talked to me, and she told me the only way I could get out of this facility is if I went to Summit Behavioral Health, which is in Gwinnett County. And I signed the paper. I went there, and that place saved my life at the moment. I got clean for a year, and then I ended up relapsing for about another 6 months. And that relapse was a lot harder and it was a lot harder to kick, but it was a lot more extreme during the addiction. And I think some people may be able to resonate with this, but I got clean the first time, so I thought I could do it better the second time, and that's never the case.
Mm. Wow. Well, overall, brother, we glad you clean. Period.
I appreciate
Going
it.
going through rehab. So you failed the first time, you relapse. Did you go back to the same rehab facility?
So no, the second time I actually didn't go to a rehab facility. So the first time I was in an inpatient facility, I left there. I went to the Summit Health place and I did inpatient, but then I also did it's called, I think, PPO. It's like outpatient. So like you just come up there for a few hours a day. Then I get clean, I go back to work, and I was working at CVS at the time, and I'm working at CVS, and I relapse. I go through that whole relapse, carrying a job still, active addiction, and uh, and I became an absent father. So my son was less than 3 at the time. He was around 2 years old, and I messaged my son's mom and I said, "Hey, can I call him?" And all I remember, and I'll never forget it, but she said, "Yeah, if you want, but it's been 6 months and he doesn't ask about you anymore." And to be honest with you, she wasn't being mean. She was just being honest. And when she said that, that moment kicked in like my own rehab, like my own, I guess, like eye-opening experience. I pretty much dropped everything at that point other than smoking here and there for that time period. And during that time, during the second addiction, I was also drinking a lot. But after I got that text message, I really just dropped everything, and it was like, what the hell am I doing? Like, this isn't me. It's not the role models I had. My dad's a great father, amazing father, always been on the straight and narrow, and here I am with my son, had it all together my whole life, and now I'm an addict, and he doesn't even know me, and he's lived with me before, like from his birth up until our divorce. So it that was the moment that I realized, like, I'm done. It was just a wake up. I didn't go back to rehab. I was just done. I was tired.
So how's your relationship right now with your son?
Oh, we're best friends, man. And anytime he calls, I'm picking him up. He's over here all the time. Huge WWE fan. He's 6 years old, so we're best friends. Best friends.
I'm happy to hear that, brother. Me being a family man myself, I'm definitely happy to hear that. Okay, you kick the addiction. What does life look like for Dylan after that?
After I kicked the addiction, I just focused on work, man. I started opening up my eyes to family time. I started really honing into, wanting to share my story, from the mortuary experiences so people can learn, so people can take their life, a little more seriously or a little bit, carry it with a little more pride. But ultimately, it was just being a better father, and that was it. And then, a few years, or no, a couple years after, getting clean, I meet my current wife now, and we just got married in October and things like that, and life is beautiful. So I'm 4 years from my suicide attempt, and I'm 3 years clean. So it's a beautiful life. So now I'm just, I run a small business. I'm trying to push a new podcast and trying to just publicly speak and help whoever can use the help, and because I could have used it.
Hey, I want to touch on something real fast, man. First, I want to, say I'm sorry, for whatever trauma that caused the suicide attempt. But could you walk us through that if it's not too traumatizing for you?
No, 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 man. I'm an open book. I'm an open book. So um, it's crazy that I went that route because I was raised that that was like the easy way out, like a coward's way out. And then working in it and seeing it every single day, I didn't understand it. Like I'm seeing these people and I'm like, a year in prison, that's why you did this, or your wife cheated on you, like that's why you did this. Like I didn't understand it. And then I, I was just so down. I was so broken. Um, I actually deleted it like a week ago, but I had uploaded like an 11-minute video just like pleading for help as like a former mortician on YouTube, like just asking like for connections or somewhere to go because I was calling places and they said I didn't have enough time as an addict to like get into some of these facilities. So I'm just broken. I'm tired. I have a son, but I'm not really active, for that time, and I'm living in my dad's basement. Um, just things weren't good. And then that breakup had just happened. So, I mean, I knew I had all of those. And then when I took them, it wasn't a conscious decision to end my life, but it was a conscious decision to take it and just stop everything. And I know that that's hard to understand for some people, but I didn't want to die. I just wanted everything to stop. And ultimately, to be honest with you, being an addict, I think a lot of addicts are attention seekers. One thing that I thought that would happen is like, hey, like I'll take all these pills and I'll wake up and like all these people will care about me and love me and everything will be better and then I can move on. And I don't know. It was like this idea of like not getting attention, but I do think that played a role in it. But just ultimately just trying to end everything,
Hmm.
make it stop.
Man, mental health is real. Suicidal thoughts are real. Um, could you take us through that night or that moment where you thought you was gonna kill yourself and swallow a whole bunch of pills?
Yeah. So like I said, like I'm sitting on a couch. I remember watching a movie and I was just sitting there like nothing was really going on from what I remember, but everything is kind of a blur. But all I remember is I had about 15 or 20. There may be a number in the middle, but it was about 15 or 20 pills left. And I literally just took like a big sip of a Coke and just turned the bottle up. And a few of them went down, and I did it again. I did it again. And within like a minute, like I had about 15 or 20 of them down. And I just started watching the movie. And I think I dozed off. Like I said, like I think I dozed off, but then like I just wasn't feeling right. Like something wasn't good, and I don't think I was throwing up yet. But my stepbrother had saw me, and when he saw me, I had never seen him like that, and I still remember how he looked. Like he was genuinely concerned because we've always been close, but like at this point, like we really weren't close. We had some issues at this time, but like I remember his face was like genuine panic, but like it didn't sit in with me. And then he wants to drive me to the hospital. I'm like, no, he's getting a bag ready. And I think he wanted. I don't know if I just left while he was getting his stuff ready, or if I finally convinced him not to drive me. But I get in my car and I drive to the hospital. And when I get there, all I remember them asking me is, "What's going on?" I told them I don't want to live anymore. I took a bunch of pills, and they said, "Do you want help tonight?" And it seemed like an odd question to me. I mean, that's why I showed up. And so I was like, "Yeah, I want help tonight." Well, the next thing I know, they put me in this room and they bring me a couple pills. I take a couple of pills, and I remember waking up once in like this vehicle. It wasn't an ambulance. It was like a van, like a cargo van almost. And there's like a bed in the back and everything. And I wake up there, and there's an EMT, and he says, he's like, "Hey, how are you feeling?" And I don't remember what I said, but probably along the lines of, "I don't feel good." And I wake up next, and I'm in this almost like an intake cell at this facility, and it's out in Smyrna. Some people may know it. I don't remember the name of it, but it's out in Smyrna. And I'm in a hospital gown, so I got strip searched, all that, put through a hospital gown and all that. Um, and then I took some more medicine that they gave me, and I was unconscious until like the afternoon. And when I woke up, like I didn't remember any of this at the time. The last thing I'd remembered was like watching a movie and like everybody kind of going their ways for the night, and I'm just on the couch. And then I wake up in this facility. Uh, and then I raised enough hell about being strip searched without being conscious and without my consent and all this stuff and blah blah blah. And they wouldn't give me my phone so I could call somebody, but they finally gave me my phone, and I called. I actually called my biological mom, and I hadn't talked to her in years, but that was the only number I could remember. And then they got in contact with my dad, and my dad came and picked me up. Like, so I was there a couple of days in the actual mental health facility, but it wasn't fun. So
Mm.
that's that night into the next morning.
Wow. Hey, you know what, brother? We glad, that you still here, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm pretty sure your son is too, and your family. But working as an examiner, could you educate us on this drug that is taking over the world called fentanyl and what exactly it is and how the
Absolutely.
body?
Absolutely. So fentanyl, it's dangerous, and the reason it's dangerous is because it's a synthetic opioid. So a lot of people, back in the early 2000s or even around 2010, doctors were prescribing mass amounts of pills. Whether it was you going in and just saying, "Hey, doc, my back hurts," they were writing, 80 Percocets, 80 oxycodone, 40 morphine, and this is for one person in a month. Um, and then pill mills started, but when the pill mills started dying out and when the access to these opioids died off, this synthetic opioid pops up, and it's called fentanyl, which had been used medically for many 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 years prior. But um, I don't think anyone at this time had really been using it raw form to cut drugs at the time. And people start cutting drugs because it's a lot stronger. So you can Google it, but most drugs are weighed out in like the gram, or like a milligram or whatever. But fentanyl is weighed out by the microgram. So it is so small that you really can't even see it with your eyes. So whether it's other countries, whether it's just distributors, whether it's street level people, these people don't know what's in every individual pill because fentanyl is so strong. A small bag of fentanyl can kill thousands and thousands and thousands of people. So that's the reason it's so dangerous. It's not the fact that you've been an addict for 10 years or you've been an addict for 20 years, or you only take pills on the weekend or whatever it is. It only takes one individual pill with a little too much fentanyl, or a bag of something with too much fentanyl, to drop you, and it will drop you. Um, I mean, almost immediately. I've picked up a police officer before that arrested someone who had fentanyl in the bag busted in his pocket, and the cop was wiping his beard, and he ended up dropping, and the officer died. He died from respiratory failure. So it's not a joke. It's a very serious drug, and it's an epidemic, and um, it's taking people's lives and people that need help. So
Man, I'm glad you educated us on that, man. And I wanna talk about the present. you stated that you have a business now. What does your business offer, and what is it?
I do. I appreciate you asking. I really take pride in work. I take pride in owner operator type things. So I started a gutter cleaning business offering window cleaning as well. We do gutter guard installation for the local area. And we also do minor repairs. So we do minor gutter repairs. We'll do minor plumbing repairs. Whether it's like a leak under the kitchen sink, nothing to have to pull a permit, but small things like that, we'll jump in and help. So my goal is to ultimately build a home services company that is built off of the right values. A lot of companies have lost their values this time and day and age. So I want to build something that doesn't look at someone the wrong way. I want to be accepting to all people, and ultimately, I want to build a company that gives addicts or parolees, felons, whatever you want to classify someone as, whatever society you want to classify them as. I want to give them a welcome place to come and make that income and support their family. So we do gutter cleaning, like I said, window cleaning, gutter guards. We'll pretty much do anything. We'll do little installations on, hot water heaters. We'll do installations, on a pond in your backyard. Whatever it is, we try to help. And we always really take high pride in our pricing. So one thing about us is that we're a smaller company. It is owner operated, so I work with a lot of people, and that's been great to the Athens community. There's a lot of lower income families, and there's a lot of higher income families, but the thing is that I'm not here to make a dollar off of anyone, so someone's son doesn't get to get new shoes for next week. So I've had people get on payment plans with me. I've had people give me half now and half later. I've had people I do the work and then they pay me when they get paid. So I really try to live on a take care of people moral when it comes to my company.
And I really appreciate that as well, man, because right now we don't have community looking out for community. So I really appreciate that. Um, so now, me and my wife, we now own a nonprofit, the Yes Foundation. With that being said, could some of the kids or some of the adults come and get some training with you, get some hours in, maybe learn some stuff, on a weekend, or um, would you be open to our foundation letting, like you said, you with the felons, or could they come get community service from you, or how would that work?
So I'm not licensed in the regard to help someone with community service unless that is something that is approved. I'd have to look into that. So as long as they're okay with like that counting as their community service hours, I'm all for it. And that's how you meet people, and that's how you help people, and that's how you find people that are down on their luck who need a helping hand like I did. So I'm all for that. I'm all for troubled youth. I've been looking a lot into mentorship. I do think I could be a great mentor from my past, experiences in the streets and the fast life, but also the professional side of things and the humbling experiences that I've had. I connect with a lot of people. I connect with a lot of different cultures, and I think ultimately that I care enough, and I care probably too much sometimes. So anyone out there that's dealing with addiction or mental health, or if you have a son maybe who needs a mentor, I'm also launching a new podcast and a new company or nonprofit called Through Their Eyes, and part of that will probably be some mentorship. So if anyone needs any services, please feel free to reach out. I want to get back to like a pivotal person in the community like I was a few years ago when I ran my predator catching service.
Mhm. Good, man. That's awesome, man. It's all about the community, man. I hear you said that you're starting a podcast. Could you give the audience a timeline and a perspective on what your podcast would be about?
Absolutely. So the podcast name is Through Their Eyes, and the reason is because a channel's not possible without someone being open and available to tell their story and comfortable enough. So it's Through Their Eyes, and every episode will be a different episode, someone telling their story, and it'll be everything similar to what your audience is enjoying here, from childhood all the way through. But we'll have a twist with it where we focus a lot on life and life decisions that were taken for granted, and ultimately how people are moving forward and trying to live a better life, because they've either realized or are realizing how important it is and how short life is. So getting those stories out, that's definitely going to be the main focus, but also sharing some of my removal stories, because like I said, I have thousands. So it'll be a little mix, but mainly it'll be an interview style podcast.
Man, that's awesome, man. Y'all be on the lookout for Through Your Eyes podcast. I heard you say that you worked in the field where you was catching some predators. Could you
Yeah.
elaborate on that a little bit, and how was that?
Absolutely. So I always watched, like on YouTube, like predator catching videos and stuff. I can't stand anyone that victimizes children, women, any of that. I can't stand it. Still to this day, people know that I'm very outspoken about it. Some of your followers, some of the Athens people may actually know me from a few years ago. I ran a company called Preying on Pedos. And within 30 minutes of launching that company and downloading the app Grinder, I was on the way to the racetrack on Oconee Street to meet a gentleman who owned the Barbaritos here in Athens. He actually partnered with a franchise to buy more of them. His name was Howard Guest. I'll put him out there. You know, that's on me. And I caught him. The videos are very public. He was a very active member in his church. Within 30 minutes, he said the most disgusting, vile things about a decoy who was a 14-year-old boy, I believe was the age that I gave. And I was on the way and I busted him. I ended up busting Howard Guest. He went and sold his home for over $100,000 under value. He sold his helicopter that was parked at the Athens airport, and he moved to Sugar Hill, North Carolina. And I know that he's still doing this stuff to this day. So um, I ultimately just kept going forward with that. And within a month, man, like 1 month, I had a dozen catches. And they were all local people, all different people. They were churchgoers. They were construction workers. They were like, one was like a GameStop employee. It really took off. Now, at the time, I had more passion than the police department did. And to be honest, and the facts will speak for itself, but there was no law that could be broken for luring a child out of their home. So anyone could tell your child to come outside of their house, and they could, and you could walk up to them and scare them off because they're a predator, but they did not break a law at that time. Now the law has changed. I believe it was in 2025 the law had changed to where just luring a minor outside of home is now a felony. So now you're seeing a lot more of these people be arrested and charged with felonies and being put on the registry just for these, YouTube channel catching services. So it's something that's still a passion of mine. I just have other things that I'm working on, but it's definitely a strong passion of mine. And I've even been asked to, partner or get back into it. But the Howard Guest catch was a very big catch. It, definitely, if anyone's watching this, no matter the age, if you've been through something, definitely seek help and therapy. But if your child speaks to you, please listen to them.
Yeah, man, that's a great service, man, because we stand right with you, brother, when it comes to predators. I can't stand 'em. And I want to close out with if nobody tells you, I'm proud of it. Um, all of the trauma you overcame, all of the 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 things that you thought people, probably would never know. Now that you're spilling it out on Go Talk TV, to help somebody and not just talk about help. So I really do appreciate you, man, and I feel as uh, you are a role model that you can actually mentor a lot of kids, not just one or two in the Winder area. And if somebody wanted their gutter replaced, or some work done on their house, how could they get in touch with you? Do you have a site? Do you have a
Absolutely. So I'm very public on everything. My name's Dillon Sleeper. It's on the episode, so they can look me up on Facebook. My Facebook page for my business is Sleepy's Gutter and Window Cleaning. But I also have my phone number out very, very publicly on all of the ads as well. So if you either add me on Facebook here locally, or if you just look up the page Sleepy's Gutter and Window Cleaning, you'll see it and it's all posted. And feel free to give me a call, send me a message. And I'm very easy to get in contact with. I do free estimates within minutes. I don't do the whole let me come out to your house and look around and find something wrong. If you ask me to do a service, I will quote that service and then we go from there. So I'm very, very quick and I'm very prompt with everything. And like I said, I work with people. I take pride, whether I grow very, very large or not. I take pride as in from the day I started it until the day that I end it, I will work with people more than any other company will. I'm not here for a dollar. I'm genuinely not. It's just something that I can provide a little bit further for my community while I'm also focusing on this.
Hey, that's awesome, man. We need more people like you in the community. Definitely tap in with him so y'all can get them gutters clean. Here on Goat Talk TV, we would like to, leave our audience with a message. Dillon, if you want to take us out, man, is there anything you want to tell the audience and the people watching, man?
Absolutely. If you're young, don't take your life for granted. If you're a parent, just keep doing, what you're doing, do the best that you can. There's no, book that comes with parenting, anything like that. But whether you're young, whether you're an adult, seek help. Tell someone that you need help, whether it's a parent, whether it's a spouse, whether it's someone, at your job that you can confide in. But just tell someone that you need help and get that help, because I promise you, the grass is greener on the other side. People say it's not always, but I promise you, if you're struggling with mental health, if you're struggling with addiction, and you do the work and you come out on the other side, I promise you that the grass is greener. And just try to slow down a little bit in life. At this time currently, with what everybody, is seeing going on in the world, I think that it's the perfect time to just slow down a little bit. The little things aren't always a big issue, and the minor inconveniences aren't always the end of the world. So just slow down a little bit, enjoy your time with the people around you, and ultimately just build your village and be content with your village and live your life the best that you can. That way you're proud of yourself whenever it does, unfortunately end.
Well, man, we appreciate you for coming to Go Talk TV and giving us this interview. We hope you have a good one. And again, brother, we're proud of you.
I appreciate you guys, and I appreciate that. I'm proud of you guys as well, and keep pushing what you're doing here. It's a very unique platform, and I'm blessed to be on it.
All right. Thank you, man.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man.
Thank you.